after you. It will live in the Supreme Court. Your vote will decide what century we live in. Will we live in an age of legal and constitutional enlightenment, or will we live in 1864? Your vote is not just about the next 4 years. Your vote is nothing less than an exercise in incredible intergenerational power that will live long after you.
Good evening and welcome to Politics Nation. Tonight's lead, brotherly love. You're looking at a live shot of Philadelphia's Temple University, where Donald Trump is expected to take the stage in a couple of hours, continuing his effort to court black voters by going into heavily black Democratic cities and talking about black America's problems as he sees them to largely non-black MAGA audiences. Democrats have responded by flooding the university area with receipts of Donald Trump's record with black America, at the same time promoting the achievements of President Biden, who has his first opportunity to contrast himself with Trump in real time this coming Thursday, as both camps prepare for the first presidential debate. With black voters historically caught in the middle of this election cycle with just months to go, we have joining me now Philadelphia Mayor Sherelle Parker, a Democrat. Madam Mayor, thank you for joining us tonight. And I want to start by saying Donald Trump is about to take the rally stage at Philly's Temple University, the latest of several campaign events he's held in black cities, some in black neighborhoods, though it was mostly white turnout, as he tries to peel off black support from President Biden. The Democratic National Committee responded to Trump at Temple by putting up billboards in the surrounding neighborhood, hitting the former president over his record with black Americans and promoting President Biden's. Philly is crucial for the president's fortunes in the swing state of Pennsylvania. Are you worried Trump could cut into your city's black vote enough to cause Biden problems in November?
No, Reverend Al, thank you so very much for having me. But he's actually there. Trump, the vile trickster, as I often refer to him as, is because he remembers how essential Philadelphia is to ensuring that President Biden wins Pennsylvania. If you'll remember, in 2016, he won Pennsylvania by 44,000 votes. Well, Philadelphians rose to the occasion in the city that Donald Trump said specifically to the nation, bad things happen in Philadelphia. Well, we delivered for President Biden. He received 81% of our vote, nearly doubling that vote margin, and he became our president of the United States, and we're going to do the same. This is simply a mere distraction, Reverend Al, and we won't forget how Donald Trump has failed the black community, sky-high black unemployment, more guns and violence on our street. And believe me, the higher health care costs for families in the city of Philadelphia, particularly the black community, we haven't forgotten.
Now, staying with that, some polls have shown an erosion of President Biden's support from segments of the black voter base, which he'll have a chance to address in his first debate with Donald Trump this coming Thursday evening. What should his message to black America be, and how should he deliver it? By touting his record or calling Trump out on his record, or both?
Reverend Al, let me just say this as it relates to polls. I became the first woman mayor in the city of Philadelphia, and if I looked at polling as the sole indicator to how I would perform in this election, I wouldn't be here. What I, as mayor, will be doing is reminding Philadelphians we will have to keep our eyes on the prize, and we will have to think about, for example, and you can't make these numbers up. I'm a new mayor. I just got here in January January, I have received from the federal government, the Biden-Harris administration, over $613 million for the city of Philadelphia. For what, Reverend Al? I can't go through it all, but $25 million for water and sewer treatment, for infrastructure, $317 million, mass transit, $159 million to reconnect a community in Philadelphia that had been redlined and moved away from our city, and $2 million for additional brownfields remediation. So for me, I think a whole lot about Baldwin. This is not simply listening to what people say. This is about watching what they do. And President Biden has affirmed that he knows what it means to make Philadelphia what I've committed, and that is to make our city the safest, cleanest, greenest big city in the nation with economic opportunity for all. And we can't do it without President Biden, and that's what I'm hoping that he stays focused on. I've talked to him personally on many occasions. I'm in close communication with his team, and we're going to stay focused on the facts. And it's my job as mayor, Reverend Al, and I want to be clear. I need to make sure that Philadelphians know that we won't be had, we won't be took, and we won't be hoodwinked by any black faces in high places telling us that we should endorse Trump. We won't forget about what he's done, and we're prepared to do that here in the city of Philadelphia.
Let me get your opinion on the following. NBC News is reporting that Donald Trump is focused on 2 or 3 candidates for his running mate ahead of the Republican National Convention in 3 weeks. Ohio Senator J.D. Vance and North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum are at the top of the list, as we understand it, with Florida Senator Marco Rubio also in contention. This is according to NBC sources. Missing, of course, from the suggested finalists are women or any of the black candidates once floated for the job, like Senator Tim Scott or Congressman Byron Donalds. Your thoughts on that, Madam Mayor, especially as Trump tries to court black voters?
Reverend Al, I want to be 1,001% clear. I wouldn't care if the running mate was black, brown, white. There is no one who can control for the policies that have attempted to destroy the democracy, the foundation on which our great nation is built. And that is, we will give everyone access to the opportunity to be living on a path to self-sufficiency. And anyone who subscribes to policies that are embraced by Donald Trump, we will give them no consideration. And, you know, maybe I'm thinking about mayors now a great deal because I'm just returning from the U.S. Conference of Mayors meeting in Kansas City. And as I talk to mayors in urban, suburban, and rural America, they have all said the same thing. We have to stay focused on how President Biden, Vice President Harris has significantly contributed to helping to advance our respective municipalities and cities and not get distracted. Yeah. So his presence in North Philadelphia is a distraction. Even if he decided, someone said to me, Sherelle's going to be a black or a brown person, he's going to choose as his running mate. Again, the black community, for anyone to think that we are naive enough to think that any black face in a high place trying to convince us that Donald Trump is best for the black community, you underestimate the power of the community, just like he did with Philadelphia.
Let me go right there before you go. I'm out of time, but since you brought that up, we've been talking about Trump reaching out to black voters, and I want to get to your response to some of that outreach effort. We had Florida Congressman Byron Donalds on this program several weeks ago. He's been in your city claiming, he said this in your city of Philadelphia, claiming black families were stronger during Jim Crow and suggesting the black community has been worse off for supporting Democrats. Other black Republicans have made similar comments. What's your response to that?
My response to that, Reverend Al, is that the black community will not be duped. We know that when it comes to civil rights and voting rights, we have used the power of our vote, we have used the courts, and we have used nonviolent civil disobedience and marching and advocating for what's in the best interests of us. And anyone who think that they could convince black people that Jim Crow was better for the black community than us having the opportunity to be full citizens here in America is someone who is trying to hoodwink our community. And I think much more of the black community, we're keeping our eyes on the prize. President Biden, safe, clean, green economic opportunity for all, how his work impacts our city and our people. And we're going to be working door to door. I'm excited.
All right. Well, thank you for being with us. And if you ever give up politics, think about preaching. You'd be great.
Oh, Reverend Al,
you.
look, honor and privilege to be here with you, sir.
I'm privileged to have you. Philadelphia Mayor Sherelle Parker. Now to the upcoming first presidential debate next week. Joining me now is retired General Wesley Clark, former Supreme Allied Commander of NATO and a former presidential candidate. General, it's always great to see you. And I want to remind you of something. 2 decades ago, you and I both ran for president as Democrats looking to defeat George W. Bush. And I wanted to open up with this moment you might remember from your first Democratic primary debate. It was right here in New York after you just entered the race in September of 2003. And some veterans Democrats took issue with you jumping in the race. Roll the clip, please.
First of all, as the only New Yorker, I want to welcome General Clark to New York, and I want to welcome him to our list of candidates. And don't be defensive about just joining the party. Welcome to the party. It's better to be a new Democrat that's a real Democrat than a lot of old Democrats up here that have been acting like Republicans all along.
You might remember that exchange, and I might add that it was an honor running against you. And we always respect each other and always stay within the boundaries of what we believe was good for the country, which is what I'm really concerned about on Thursday night. That's why I wanted you on, because we have experience on the stage of at least running in the primaries. But now as the president, Biden preps for his Thursday debate, what lessons can his team learn from moments like this one from our debate 20 years ago? I don't know if he.
I thought you were going to show another clip.
No.
Reverend Al, it's great to be on with you. I loved being on that debate stage with you, and you were the only one who welcomed me in there, and it always meant a lot. And I think you're just you were a great debater, you were a great candidate, and it's an honor to be on with you. Look, what lessons? Number one is you've got to make up your mind before you go in what are your three or four major points you're going to do. You got to stay focused, you got to make it funny, and you got to make it brief. You got to not pay too much attention to the questions. You got to get your message out.